Hi, my name's Clifton Bradeley and I've come to the Lorisian lab here in York to look at the lab that does all the food intolerance tests. So as a practice, we're getting an increasing number of customers who are talking to us about having bloating and discomfort in the stomach and the gastrointestinal tract, and even like lack of energy and headaches and different symptoms. And maybe some of those symptoms are because of having a food intolerance. So I thought I'd come to Lorisian. I'm going to look at the test procedure, have a word with some of the staff, might even go through a test myself because I get a little bit of bloating when I have certain foods, and see what the results are like.
Clifton, nice to see you.
Nice to meet you.
And yourself?
Yeah, good. So I'm really excited about doing the test.
Absolutely, let's go.
Get it done.
Thank you. So the first things first, for yourself, Clifton, is to sterilise your finger. So first things first is that's absolutely fine. So usually ask people to do it with the hand that they don't write with. Yeah. A lot of people have them and then they go to work the next day, they can't type. So first things first, we're just going to give that a quick wipe, make sure the area is sterile. And the next thing that we're going to do is actually unscrew the cap on our finger prick device. This is single use, so inside here we do have a lancet. So we pull it anti-clockwise, pull that out, and you'll see inside there we just have a small lancet.
Did you know, I'm quite relieved. I was expecting this great big sharp needle, I can't even see it actually.
Well, luckily enough, it's covered up, you can't see it, which is fantastic. It just kind of takes away the element of fear. But all we're doing is going to push this lancet onto your finger and we're going to draw the blood. However, first of all, we're going to get our absorbent wands ready. So these are what are going to create the dry blood samples. So because you're doing the Lorisian 200, we have to cover both wands. On both sides, because we're measuring for Western, Asian, Nordic and vegan vegetarian food, so we need to get more blood.
So it covers a wide variety of modern diets.
It does, and obviously because of our society, it's very multicultural, and we have a lot of influences from other countries in our society, so we're definitely bringing in all those different ingredients that we find in supermarkets nowadays. So now we've got all that ready, I'm going to prick your finger. So are you ready? Okay,
I'm ready. Oh, there we go. I didn't feel anything.
No, it's not too bad.
Felt a little bit of pressure, but actually it was pretty good.
Well, you're not too much of a bleeder, so usually we just massage the finger.
It's an age thing.
Massage the finger first of all. If you are struggling to actually get the blood itself, we do say, have a warm bath beforehand, improve the circulation of the blood, and then we're actually able to, get an increased blood flow. So we're just going to keep saturating this one so you are still bleeding, which is good. You haven't stopped yet, which is fantastic. And another tip as well, if you do actually stop bleeding, is to, actually put your hand down. Let gravity do its work, just with the blood flow going down. But you seem to be doing really well. So we're just going to go for the second one now. So again, just rolling it onto the blood that's appearing.
And all these tests can be done, because I know there's various stages, just from that little bit amount of blood?
Absolutely, yeah. So once we've actually gathered the dry blood sample in itself, we can actually stabilise this sample for 28 days. So the medical device in itself has a stability of 28 days once you've put the blood on the sample. So in comparison to, let's say, a full blood draw, you would actually have to centrifuge a sample within 20 minutes. So the convenience in terms of, say, doing it within the clinic, the transportation time, it definitely takes into account all of that. So you don't have to go to the doctor, you don't have to wait for a long waiting list. You can just simply do this and get it sent off, which is fantastic. So once we've done that, we're gonna heal you now. So we're just gonna again use the same sterile wipe on the other side, clear all that up, and then we're gonna use the plaster just to cover up your very small wound. So once the samples come in, the sample you see from Jane, the very first woman on the right hand side, she'll be booking in the samples that come through to ourselves. And then what the rest of the scientists are doing here is preparing the plates in which all of the blood is subjected to. So they've got all of the different ingredients in there, and from that point they're able to use the ELISA method of testing to identify reactivity. So the results are in.
Fab. I'm a little bit nervous.
We're going to go through them, so nothing to worry about. We'll go through them one by one with you. The first thing we're going to do is explain how they actually look. So we've obviously got a simple traffic-like system here.
I'm a bit cow's milk and yeast. So two of the things I like most.
Yeah.
Milk and bread. You know, been raised on bread.
Typically what you like or what you have a lot do typically turn up.
Okay.
The only reason for that is that because you're having so much of a particular food, there's somewhat of a protein overload within your body, and your digestive system gets too used to it. So that's why everyone always says to have a varied and balanced diet. So it's kind of a reflection of overconsumption as such. So it kind of fits the profile from what you've just said.
And is that typical? That kind of like when people talk about having like a nutritious, balanced diet. But I guess all of us really, if we like something, we'll tend to kind of overindulge in it and have a little bit too much.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm from a big family, so my parents said, if you're still hungry, fill up on bread.
Yes.
So it's habitual, not just the nutrition, but I've suspected for a while that yeast and bread might be a bit of a problem for me.
It does typically happen just based around that overconsumption factor, but there are also other factors with food intolerance that can actually contribute to it as well.
Yeah.
So things like soil quality, intensive rearing of animals, fertilizer that's being used, pesticides, all of that, as well as the overconsumption, is reflective of Western society at the moment, and that's where food intolerance is quite prevalent because we don't know where some of these ingredients are. So once you get your food, we always say have a look at the ingredients, see what there is on there, match it with what you've got.
Yeah.
So we don't just do the isolated foods, we do the trace foods as well. So we really go into the finer detail of the ingredients. So
what have we got here then?
So as I said before, we've got a traffic light system. So we actually differentiate our food intolerances from a high, medium or low level of reactivity.
Yeah.
So with the red column, they're obviously your highly reactive. Now it does go in descending order, so your highest intolerance is at the top, but we always advise that you avoid them based upon the categorization.
Okay.
So if you have a high reaction in the red column, we say avoid that for 12 weeks if you can.
Yeah. Okay.
We advise that you do. We know it's going to be hard, but it's going to, in essence, give you that time for recovery, which is really important for people who are suffering with symptoms like we've gone through previously. And we've got our borderline reactions in the amber. So these are the foods that you can have a couple of times a week. They can be your cheats as such. People have cheat meals, which can include things like yeast. So you're not all off bread. Okay. You can have it a few times. So anything in the green column is obviously going to be what you're moulding your diet around. But what you want to avoid is over consuming on these green foods because, in essence, 3 to 6 months later, they might become an intolerance again. So it is a vicious cycle in terms of don't overindulge on these and have that balanced and varied diet.
So the red is a no, the yellow is probably once, twice a week, and the green is I'm okay on.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's been about a month since I went to the Lorisian lab in York and had a food intolerance test. And I've got to say, it seems to have made a big difference to my life and my diet. They do a traffic light system, so you have red, amber and green. So the foods that come up in the red column you avoid, and in that column I had milk protein, cow's milk, and in the amber I had yeast. There was one or two other things like turnip I never liked, anchovies I never liked, Shiraz grape, white wine I never really liked. I prefer red on the occasions I do drink it. So what I've done is I've pretty much mainly cut those items out, especially the milk and the bread, which was a bit of a shock to me because I've always liked those items, but I was having an awful lot of distension in my stomach and a swollen stomach and stomach cramps, and if I went out to a restaurant it would spoil the whole evening for me. So now I operate Pareto's law, which is the 80-20 rule, and I've mainly cut out milk, and I have stuff like this, which is there's other makes, but this is the Alpro coconut and almond milk. So there's tons of things like that are alternatives to your cow's milk. I have that in my cereal. I've reduced my coffee, I've reduced my tea, but if I'm out there and I want to fancy a cup of tea, like I say, I will have a little bit of milk in there, and I'll have one slice of toast with an egg on a week because I like that, and I'm not having any problems with that. But it's made a considerable difference. So thank you, Lorisian. I'm definitely flatter in my tummy. I've lost a little bit of weight. I feel tighter in my core strength, and I'm really happy with it. And I will continue with this regime because it seems to have been like a bit of the icing on the cake for me. I've always been pretty positive. That's the type of person I am. But knowing that serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter that makes you feel good and relaxed and happy, 90% comes from the endochromaffin cells in your small intestine. the fact that I've got rid of that distension and that swelling, I feel has lifted my spirits a little bit, and that doesn't seem to be going away. So of course, you know, we all have our off days, but generally I'm really pleased, so thank you.